Hello, everyone, and welcome to our free August webinar, Virtual Bookkeeping Workflows, 5 Steps to Success. Thank you so much for joining me, whether it's live or via the recording. I'm so excited to be with you. As you're joining me, let me know in the chat where you're joining me from. You know that I always love to see where you're joining from because so many of you join from all over the world, and it's so exciting when that happens, and just to be able to have that connection with you and be able to really help you in your business and in your life, it is so rewarding to me. And uh, I can't read it because it goes so fast. I think I saw Ontario, Sandy from Iowa, Belinda from Alberta, Canada, Nestor from Puerto Rico. I think it was Nino from the Philippines, Trisha from Memphis, Darlene from Mount Dora, Florida. Hello, Darlene. Morgan from Texas, Kitty from Maine, Candace from Troy, Texas, Aaron from Florida, Heather from Scottsdale, Arizona, Sasha from Grenada. How exciting. Lawrence from Thornton, Ontario, Canada. Fantastic. Stephanie from Texas. Yvonne from Hawaii. Aloha, Yvonne. Latasha from upstate New York. And I believe someone said they can't hear me. So, Jesse, if you can put something in the chat to respond, and for anyone who can't hear us, we can let them know how they can hear us. Jesse is my very faithful companion, as always, in the background, joining me to help moderate, to make sure that the webinar takes place successfully. Jesse is one of my team members, and I would say my right hand person, really, when it comes to everything in my business. Louisa from Fort Worth, Texas. Howdy, Louisa. And Yolanda from Big Spring, Texas. I'm not sure where Big Spring is. I know where Spring, Texas is. It's close to the Houston area. And let's see. Fantastic. So audio is fine. Great to hear that. So again, thank you for joining me. I'm so excited that you're here with me today. And can you believe it's already towards the end of August, and it'll be fall pretty soon? Now, it's not going to get cold here where we are in this part of Texas because it'll be hot probably till October. But I'm sure for some of you, it's already starting to turn cold, and I'm happy for you. Like I said, it's been hot here, and it probably will continue to be hot. Just about me, in case you probably know who I am, but I always like to let people know who I am in case you're new to the webinar series. My name is Veronica Wasek. I am the CEO and founder of VM Wasek, and we specialize in working with Shopify sellers, from consulting to bookkeeping. I'm the creator of the 5 Minute Bookkeeping blog and YouTube channel. I'm the founder of the Facebook group 5 Minute Bookkeeping Community. Oh, and this must be an older slide because it is now called 5 Minute Bookkeeping Community. I'm also the founder of the 5MB Academy for Bookkeepers, in which I empower virtual bookkeepers to become confident professionals and business owners. I have been named a top 10 as well as a top 100 QuickBooks Pro Advisor. I am a certified advanced QuickBooks online Pro Advisor and a CPA as well. And I live in Sugar Land, Texas. And that's how I knew where Spring is, because I'm in the Houston area, but I don't know where Big Spring is in Texas. I'm sure you'll let me know in the chat. And I see more of you joining. Sherry from Manitoba, Nancy from Toronto, Canada. We have a lot of Canadians. Florida from Toronto, and Donna from Coopersburg, Pennsylvania, Jasmine from Mendocino, California. I wish I could name all of you, but you know what? We had over 1,000 people sign up for this webinar. Can you believe it? I think this is probably the most popular webinar I've given. It's amazing. Just absolutely amazing. Again, it's just such a joy and a privilege for me to share all of the information that I'm able to share with you, and especially because I've been where you are. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. I've been where you are. I've gone through my journey, and my goal is to help accelerate your journey and for you to learn what I have learned and also learn from my mistakes as well. Just some admin announcements. This presentation is subject to copyright. You may not record the presentation for purposes of sharing it on YouTube or other social media, and you may not share the handout on social media. Speaking of handouts, there are handouts for today's presentation. You'll find that in the handouts tab in your webinar window. I believe it's also pinned at the top of the chat. If you don't find the handout, no worries. We will send the handout and the recording to everyone. Use the chat to talk amongst yourselves and comment, but if you have a question, please put it in the Q&A tab so that I will see it. I will be monitoring the Q&A tab. Jessie, as I said, my faithful companion, she'll be working in the background. She'll be interacting with you in the chat, providing links and things that I mentioned. But I will monitor the Q&A, and I will answer your questions at the end of the webinar. All right. So what am I going to talk to you about today? First of all, my business journey. We'll talk about tech tools, paperless document management, client onboarding, the monthly bookkeeping process, team and client collaboration, and managing work status and due dates. And as I said, then we'll do Q&A after that. Let's start with my journey. As I told you earlier, I have been where you have been if you're just starting out, or if you're trying to figure out how you scale your business. I've been there too. I've been through all of the facets of starting a business completely by myself. I actually started my business in 2010. Really had no intention of starting a business aside from the fact that it was the Great Recession and I got laid off from 2 jobs and just thought, okay, I have nothing left to lose. But I started my business with no money, no clients, no employee, and really no idea what I was doing. And it was really challenging at that time to figure out everything by myself, just because I didn't have the Facebook groups. I didn't have someone like me. It was very much a very lonely situation for several years of just trying to do all of this on my own. And then getting around other people like me at conferences and hearing a lot of mixed messages about what I should be doing and should not be doing, and feeling very confused and overwhelmed for several years. But I decided, you know what, if I'm when I started my business, I thought if I'm going to start this business, then I'm going to have big dreams. And my dream was to build a business that was beyond me, that I would have employees, that I would have a very nice business that could support my lifestyle. And I'm going to have big dreams, and a lot of these dreams have taken place, which is very exciting. But there was this road that I had to go down to get there, and some of it, as I said, it was lonely, it was confusing, it was painful. But after going through all of that, I now have a niche business. I work with premium clients. I have a solid team of 5 happy employees. At least I'd like to think they're happy. I think they're happy. I work 30 hours a week or less. And I spend now actually probably closer to 5% of my time on client work. And my husband left his job in 2019. And actually now we are landowners. We bought a 90-acre farm and ranch about a year ago, and have been spending a lot of time there, and now making plans to move there soon. And so there's a lot of exciting things that have happened, but it's been a long road in between. And so why do I share all of this with you? So that you can see that, yes, I've been there just like you. And if you go down the right path, if you put your energy into going into the right path, then you too can build a business that really becomes a lifestyle business, as it has become for me. What were the keys to success from going from it's all me, no money, no clients, no idea what to do, to the business and lifestyle that I have now? Really, it was systematizing my workflows. It was all about putting together repeatable and documented processes. So figuring out, what are we supposed to do? How are we going to do it? We need to document everything that we do. And then as I started hiring employees, sharing those processes with those employees, refining, doing lots of refining of processes, of workflows, and to where we are now, that all team members must follow our established processes, and all clients also must follow our processes. So we tell clients how we do business. They have to comply with us. In the beginning, it was just clients telling me, okay, do it this way, do it that way. It'll take you this many hours. I very much let clients control the process. And now, after putting into place the things that I will share with you today, is very much a business in which we tell the client how things are done. So let's talk about virtual bookkeeping workflows. First of all, workflows are just the steps and the sequences that we follow when we're doing work or performing work, or doing projects, or managing our bookkeeping, accounting, and tax businesses. But there's a lot of challenges that comes with just working with clients. How do you work with virtually with clients? How do you work efficiently so you can be profitable? Because it's one thing to just like work, but it's another thing to do it in a way that you are profitable. How do you know which apps to work with? And how can you scale your business? How can this business go beyond you, so that you're not the one doing all of the work? Because at some point you will just max out and burn out. We're going to talk about 5 steps to success. Starting from the top and going clockwise to the right, we'll talk about tech tools, document management, client onboarding, the monthly bookkeeping process, and team and client collaboration. So these 5 steps then really made up the systems and the processes that I put together, so that, as I said, I could build a business where I could have employees, where I could be profitable, and where I could have a lifestyle that I deserve, really, after working so hard all of these years. Let's start with tech tools. I know that many of you get very much caught up on all of the apps. Which apps are we going to use? And there's so many apps, and there's probably now thousands of apps. And I always say you have to focus on the essential apps. I know that some of you love apps because it's like, just all these shiny objects that you want to learn all about. And I've been there. I used to get so excited when there was a new app or a change to an app, and what can I use this app for? And let me do a demo of this other app. But ultimately, it's just about what is going to be essential for you to run your business and deliver the services that you want to deliver. So we have to focus first on service delivery apps: accounts payable, accounts receivable, payroll, project management, and accounting software. Next, you have practice management apps. Practice management is where then you basically are managing your projects and your workflow. So think of it as just project management. Asana, Trello, others, ClickUp are some that you might use. Keeper app is my favorite, and I will talk about Keeper a lot today. Box is a document management software that we also use for practice management. And I listed a few here, and actually these are the ones that we use: Asana, Keeper app, and Box. But again, there are many. And then sales and marketing apps. What are what software, what apps are we going to use for selling and for marketing, because we have to do marketing to get clients, and then we have to close sales. We have to have some way to handle that. Acuity scheduling or Calendly is another that you can use to schedule appointments with clients, or actually clients can schedule appointments with you. ConvertKit is another that I recommend. ConvertKit is a marketing software where you can send emails, build landing pages, and set up sequences. Zapier is another. Zapier allows you to connect apps together so that they send information from one app to another, so that you don't have to be double and triple data entering transactions or data. And then Asana is another software that we use in the sales and marketing process as well. So again, focus on the essentials. Avoid getting caught up on the latest and the greatest. Find something that works and start using it. And really, that's the best advice I can give you. Find something that will work for you and start using it. Will you outgrow it? You might. And then you'll find something else. But you need to find something and not get so caught up on just over researching and not taking action. The service delivery apps that we use at my company, VM Wasek, starting from the top and going clockwise, we use Gusto for payroll. We use Dext for receipt capture. We use Melio for accounts payable. We use Box for document management. We use the Keeper app for project management and client communication. And because we are niched, I'm trying to say niched because my international friends call it niched. So because we're niched in e-commerce, then we use A2X, which is a connector app between Shopify and QuickBooks Online. And then in the center is QuickBooks Online Accountant. That is the software that enables you to work with multiple QuickBooks Online clients, where you can manage all of those clients from one dashboard. What are some of the lessons learned and takeaways, important takeaways when it comes to apps? Again, focus on what's essential. Avoid over-researching. Avoid getting caught up on what's the latest and greatest. I would say the number one advice I would give you when it comes to apps is that you need to decide on the services that you will provide, so that you don't have to focus on so many apps that you will use for service delivery. Because if you're working with, say, a hair salon, a retail business, a nonprofit business, and a construction business, all those businesses may use different apps that are specific to their industry. And all of a sudden, then you have to know how to use all of those apps, or know how to integrate them, or know how to bring data from QuickBooks, or rather from their software or their app into QuickBooks. So all of that just adds a lot more complexity and a lot more work and a lot more apps. And also find a niche. If you specialize, then you can focus on the one great thing that you do for your niche clients. And then the apps are very easy, because as I showed you before, what apps are we using with our Shopify clients? We only use A2X. We're not using any other integrator apps for Shopify. And if you work with Shopify clients, you know that there are many integrator apps, but we only chose to work with one, just to keep things simple, keep our processes repeatable, and again, so we don't have to know so many different apps. Number 2, so this is the second step to success with virtual bookkeeping workflows: paperless document management. When it comes to paperless document management, you have tech tools, you have the documents that you require from your client, and then you have file organization. So when you put all of those three things together, and especially working in a virtual environment with clients, then those are the three things. That's the triangle, if you will, of paperless document management. Let's talk about tech tools. Receipt capture is one. So I know that in Canada and probably in the UK, Australia, and other countries outside of the US, that you require receipts from your clients because you have to be able to look up the VAT tax or the sales taxes that are associated with purchases. And if that's the case, then you can use Dext or HubDoc or QBO receipt capture. I would recommend either Dext or HubDoc just because they have more functionality than the QBO receipt capture. And now, I said, in other countries, you're required to get receipts. In the US, however, we're not required to get receipts from our clients to do their bookkeeping because we don't have to know the amount of sales tax that they paid for a purchase. And so in your case, if you're in the US and you're a bookkeeper, getting receipts from clients is not necessary. But if you are going to get receipts from your client, then I, again, recommend either Dext or HubDoc. For document fetching, so getting bank statements from our clients. I'm mentioning these, however, the functionality is limited in the US. I know in Canada, I think you have a much better banking system than we do here in the US when it comes to getting documents from your clients. I'm not sure about other countries, but if you're going to fetch bank statements from your client, QuickBooks Online does have some ability to fetch bank statements directly from your clients' banks. It doesn't work for all banks, but that is available. HubDoc also has that ability, and there are others. However, again, in the US, because of the security concerns of the banks, it's very difficult and challenging to just auto fetch bank statements. And so in that case, at least for my company, I know other people do as well, that we ask our clients to give us read-only access to their bank accounts, and then we manually have to go in and download the bank statements. And I know it's painful, but between us downloading the statements or the other option is waiting for the client to upload statements, that could take a while if we're waiting for clients to do it. And so we just go in once a month and we manually fetch or download the business bank statements from our clients' accounts. And again, we have read-only access. We don't have access to any bank accounts or our clients' money. Third, then for tech tools for paperless document management, you have file upload and sharing. So this is when we're getting either paper documents from our clients, when there are perhaps manual transactions that you're needing to process for your clients. And you have some options there. You can use a document management system such as Box, Dropbox, or Google Drive. We have been using Box to do that. So our clients will upload documents to a shared Box folder where they will put the things that we ask them to upload for us. As an example, say they took out a loan and we need a loan agreement. So we'll ask them to upload the loan agreement, and then they upload it into Box. Smart Vault or ShareFile is another option that you can use. It does kind of the same thing. It helps you to receive documents from your clients and to share documents with them. Keeper app now has the ability to get documents from clients, and it stores those documents on Keeper. And Listio is another. I'm partial to Keeper app. We use Keeper app, and I love Keeper apps. So as I said, I'll be talking about them a lot, and they're not paying me to talk about them. I just love Keeper that much. I did a webinar, by the way, with Keeper a few months ago. It is on my YouTube channel if you want to look for that webinar, if you haven't seen it. So as I said, when it comes to apps, then tech tools is one of the 3 steps that we need to then, sorry, let me start over. I meant document management. Let me back up. So when it comes to paperless document management, not apps, when it comes to paperless document management, we have tech tools. And then next we have the documents that we require from our clients. So how are we going to work with clients virtually, right? And get the documents that we need from them without physically being at their office? And how are we going to make this easy for our clients to give us what we need? All right, so let's talk about then what are the documents needed for monthly bookkeeping? Okay, so we have purchase receipts. As I said, that's optional. So you would need to use a receipt capture app, as we said, Dext or HubDoc. There may be transactions where you don't have receipts. And in that case, we will use the QuickBooks online bank feeds. So when we connect QuickBooks to the client's business bank and credit card accounts, and all of those transactions go into QuickBooks, and then we're going to use those transactions to add or match into QuickBooks. Then we also need bank statements. And as I said, we request read-only access from our client to get those bank statements or to view details of transactions. Or as I said, you may be able to use a document fetching app or QuickBooks if that works in your country to get those bank statements. What other documents do we need for monthly bookkeeping? Well, if you're processing accounts payable, then you're going to need images of manual checks that your client has written. In the U.S., some of our clients still write checks. I know in other countries people don't write checks that much, but we still do to some extent here in the U.S. So you would need images of those manual checks. And if you're going to be processing accounts payable and actually automating the accounts payable process for your clients, then you would need the vendor bills from your clients. There are apps that you can use, such as Melio or Bill.com to process accounts payable, but regardless, the client has to provide the vendor bills for you to process accounts payable. Next, accounts receivable. For accounts receivable, you would need details of customer payments and deposits made. So in order to apply a deposit that you see in a bank account for customer payments, so you have to have the details of what the payments were, which invoices they apply to, which deposit they go with. And so you have to get that from the client. And then for payroll, you would need information such as the employee paperwork. In the U.S., we have the I-9, the W-4 form, other employment forms, timesheets, information about paid time off, payroll deductions, and others. And for payroll, I recommend using Gusto. Now, a question that I'm asked a lot, and especially here in the US, because as I said, we don't need the receipts from our clients to do all of their bookkeeping. So do you need all of the receipts and source documents from clients? So at VM Wasek, we work primarily from the bank feed and from apps that we use. And we only request specific information from clients. So we're not asking them to give us every single receipt and what was it for, and we don't need to see it, because really, when you think about it, and at least from our own analysis, 80+% of business transactions are repetitive. And so as long as you have some sort of historical information, or if your client has already been doing their books and you see that transactions are categorized a certain way, then you can categorize transactions in a similar way, assuming that they were categorized correctly to begin with. But you don't need all of the receipts from your client. One thing that we do during onboarding is we talk to our clients about the different types of expenses that they have, what vendors do they have, what are the different, the purposes of all of those expenses, and that helps us also to determine how to categorize all of the expenses. So as I said, we do not request all receipts and source documents from clients. This model does work best with service-based companies where you don't have inventory or job costing. Once you get into, say, a construction business where there's job costing, you likely need for them to upload receipts so you can job cost all of their expenses. Now, file organization is another important part of paperless document management, because now we're going to get all of these documents from all of these clients, and what do we do with them? We have to keep them organized. We have to make sure that all of those files, they live where they should. So now you have client files, you have all of these other files that in the past, back in the day, as we like to say, we had paper files and they went into file folders and filing cabinets. Things were alphabetized, and it was much easier to manage because it was a visual system. But now we have digital files, and it can get very confusing and disorganized unless you have a good way to organize all of those files. So here's what I recommend in terms of then organizing the files in a way that they can stay neat and tidy. First of all, we have client files. For client files, we have a file for each client, a file folder, I would say a parent folder for each client. And inside of each of those parent folders is a team folder and a folder that is shared with the client. So we have one folder in which all of the team members are working. We have a lot of subfolders for the various things that we keep for clients. But if someone needs to find a file, they know exactly where to go and they know exactly where to find it. Then we have the files that are shared with the client, and these are the files that clients upload to us when we need those, or things that perhaps we need to give to the client. Everything flows through that shared client folder. Next, we have administrative and internal files. So that may have financial files, practice management, human resources, and payroll. And for all of that, again, we need to make sure that we have a parent folder for admin and general, and then have subfolders for each of those areas. As I said, financial, practice management, HR, and payroll, and then everything gets filed where it belongs. Then we have sales and marketing. And under sales and marketing, you should have proposals, pricing information, and information about your service packages. And then fourth, we have what I call knowledge capital. And that is just basically all how you do things in your business, your how-to. Processes and procedures, checklists, forms, templates should live under knowledge capital, as well as training and resources. Next, we have client onboarding. So this is the third step towards having success with our virtual bookkeeping workflows. Now, if you haven't figured out already, I love workflows, and I love, as I said, systematizing things. And so I typically put together workflows of the order in which things should take place. And so you should have an onboarding workflow. The onboarding workflow basically starts when you have a signed service agreement or a signed engagement letter and a paid invoice. So when you have those two things, then you have a client. Okay, if you don't have a payment upfront, or if you don't have a signed engagement letter or service agreement, you don't have a client. You have a prospect. So once they become a client, Then we're going to send them a welcome message. And you can automate a lot of this or have it, ready to go when you have a new client. When they do that, then they get a welcome message. You're welcoming them into your business, your company. You're excited to work with them. Next, you're going to set your client up in your company system. So if like set them up as a customer in QuickBooks Online, set them up to get their payment information, everything that you need to do just to get them up and going internally, you get that set up. Next, you're going to obtain all of the items that you need from your client in order to do the work that you said you were going to do. Next, after that, you're going to have a client kickoff meeting to set the tone and set the expectations with your client for how things are going to work and how things will work ongoing. So if they're going to be a monthly client, then you will need to let them know about the things that you will require from them each month, when you will send them questions, when you expect them to reply to you, when they can expect to get financial reports from you. So all of the things that they need to know in order for you to have a successful relationship with them, all of that needs to be covered in that client kickoff meeting. Then you're going to plan the work. So basically, who's going to do the work? When is it going to be done? How will it be done? Are there any issues that you need to be aware of? You have to plan the work and make sure that it gets assigned to a team member, or if you're going to do it, then make sure that you have the time and the resources to get it done. And if your client will be using any apps, payroll, accounts payable, accounts receivable, etc., make sure that they get set up to use those apps. And then after all of that happens, and after you've talked to the client, after you have obtained everything that you need from that client, after everything is set up, then and only then you begin service delivery. We learned this the hard way. Like, you get so excited, you get a new client and you're kind of getting things piecemeal and you're just trying to get started. But, oh, well, I don't have this yet because the client didn't give it to us. And then, well, let's jump over here and do this. Well, we don't have this either. And so what we found is that if you take the client through this process, and then when they give you everything that you need, then you can start working on their project, on their bookkeeping, or whatever it is that you're doing for them. And for some clients, some clients, we've waited 3-6 months to get everything we need from them, unfortunately, but we don't start work until we get everything that we need from them. Next is document signing apps. So when we're working with clients and we are wanting to send them an engagement letter or a service agreement, then we want to make it as simple as possible for them to sign that document for us. So you have a couple of choices here of some of the apps that you can use. One is what I call standalone apps, like DocuSign, Right Signature, and HelloSign. So these are just apps where you're going to upload a document and you're going to mark the places where the client needs to fill something out and where they need to sign, and that's all that it does. You're just getting a signature basically from your client. And then you have what I call all-in-one apps, such as Ignition, formerly called Practice Ignition, Go Proposal, Proposify, or Quotient, and there are others. And these are apps where you can then put together proposals for clients, service agreements. So everything takes place inside of that app. So again, from drafting the service agreement, integration with QuickBooks Online, with some of them collecting payment from your clients, getting the client to sign the service agreement, all of that happens inside of that app. We use Ignition. And Ignition can be seen as an investment because it's not cheap, but at some point when you start looking at the number of hours that you save in when you're manually doing everything that Ignition automates for you, it really does pay for itself. And another thing that you need to consider for client onboarding is having a client onboarding checklist. So I'm big on workflows, systematizing as well as checklists, just because that helps us to go from beginning to end, making sure that not only did we get everything that we needed from the client, as I said, when you're onboarding a client, but also that we did everything we were supposed to do internally as well to make sure that everything is set up properly and that we're setting ourselves up for success as well as our client up for as well as setting up our client for success. Step number 4, the monthly bookkeeping process. I put together this bookkeeping process, the monthly bookkeeping process in 5 steps. So we're going to record, reconcile, review, revise, and restrict. Those are the 5 steps, the 5 things that a bookkeeper does every month when they're working on their clients' books. First of all, we're going to record transactions. We're going to record transactions from the bank feeds or using the bank feeds. We're going to possibly enter some manual transactions, and then we may be using apps to bring transactions over into QuickBooks. We have, when it comes to bank feeds, we may be recording expenses, deposits, and transfers. For manual transactions, if you're then handling some of your clients' manual transactions, and that may be invoices, customer payments, deposits, payroll, sales taxes, and other transactions. And then for apps, receipt capture apps, you may be automating accounts payable, accounts receivable, payroll, and other types of transactions. Now, just one of the challenges that we have when working with the bank feeds, or even when we get information from clients, is what do we do with transactions when we don't know what the transaction was for? So you have a couple of options. One is you can categorize unidentified transactions to a separate account. Many of you use an account called Ask My Accountant, and then you work through all the transactions in the bank feed, and for the ones for which you don't know what they are for, then you need to categorize them, and you just put them to Ask My Accountant because you don't have enough information. And when you do that, then at some point during the month, you have to send the client a list of those unidentified transactions so that they can tell us what they are for. This has been a very clunky process in the past because some of us are sharing Google documents with our clients or sending Excel spreadsheets or just begging the client, like, please give us this information. And but we have an app that now automates the whole process. It's the Keeper app, which actually allows you to mark transactions and put them into an account, and then to be able to send the client those transactions asking for more information, and then the client responds to you from the Keeper app. And our clients have really taken to this app and using it and responding a whole lot quicker than in the past. And so if you haven't looked at Keeper app, I highly recommend that you do. I'm sharing a link here with you guys, and I believe Jesse is or should be sharing a link with you as well. It's been a game changer for us. We were really so tired of having to ask clients to give us information about unidentified transactions, and now we have really been able to automate that process and streamline it. So once you get a response from your client of what a transaction is for, then you're going to assign the proper category to that transaction. And again, you can automate that with Keeper as well. I'm going to skip that. Okay. So instead of skipping it, I'll just tell you what it is. So it's just a sample checklist of some of the steps that we have to follow when we're in that record phase in the first step of the monthly bookkeeping workflow. Recording customer payments and deposits, categorizing bank account transactions using the bank feeds, categorizing credit card transactions, reviewing the unidentified transaction report, sending that list to the client, and then updating for the correct categories. The second step in the monthly bookkeeping workflow is to reconcile. So we're going to reconcile business banking credit card balances to the statements. And and depending on the client's needs, we may also be reconciling balance sheet accounts. Okay, and here's another sample checklist where we're just listing all the things that we do every month, reconciling the bank statements, reconciling loans if the client has loans, and then reconciling balance sheet accounts. Third step is review. So after you have recorded transactions and done the bank reconciliations, now the next step is you need to review to make sure that everything was recorded and categorized properly. And that step, depending on whether it's you or you and a team, if it's you, you're going to have to kind of wear different hats. So one hat is the bookkeeper hat, where everything's getting added or entered into the box. A second phase of a bookkeeping review is to actually review your own work, and we call that the self-review. So the preparer reviews their own work. And there could even be a third layer to that review process, which we call a manager review, in which someone at a higher level reviews that client as well. And usually those reviews have a different focus as far as what's being reviewed. So the preparer is very much focused on, did they follow the checklist? Did they do everything they were supposed to do? Whereas the manager is looking at more categorization of transactions, what we call fluctuation analysis, looking at how did amounts differ from one month to another, what's going on with the business. So as I said, there can be different levels of review. What to review then? What do you need to review to ensure that your bookkeeping was done correctly? Review the bank reconciliations. We should always be reviewing bank reconciliations for old and cleared transactions. Undeposited funds is another. We're looking for old transactions and undeposited funds. We need to be reviewing all of the profit and loss accounts, all of the balance sheet accounts, review to make sure that you don't have any more unidentified transactions. And then depending on the client, you may be reviewing accounts receivable aging, accounts payable aging, inventory, and other areas. And again, Keeper app is a great tool to automate and organize the monthly bookkeeping review process. Here's a sample from Keeper app for managing your monthly client bookkeeping. I know this is a little small, sorry. I was trying to show you as much as I could, and now I see it's kind of blurry. But you'll organize your monthly bookkeeping workflow into monthly tasks that you perform, then account reconciliations, transaction review, and some of it which Keeper automates for you. Okay, so there's much more to that. I just kind of gave you an excerpt of that. And again, I'm not getting paid by Keeper to say on any of this. I just think it's such a game-changing app, and it has helped us so much that I just wanted to share this with you. The fourth step in the monthly bookkeeping workflow is revise. So based on the review process, based on reviewing what we did, we'll probably find things that are miscategorized, that maybe need adjusting, need correcting. And so in that revise step, we will recategorize transactions and make adjustments just based on what we found during our review. And it's all really part of the quality control process. And number 5, the last step, is restrict. We're going to close the books in QuickBooks Online, which is just really password protecting the books in order to keep our team, keep yourself, keep your team, or the client from making changes to the books. The 5th step to have success with your bookkeeping workflows is team and client collaboration. The goal should be to eliminate information silos. So we want to reduce and eliminate anything that goes directly to just one person. And this is key when you're looking at hiring contractors, hiring employees, scaling your business. You have to eliminate the information silos, especially when clients have been used to only talking to you, only emailing you, because when you have information silos, that means that information exists somewhere that you can't get to it, or a contractor can't get to it, or an employee cannot get to it. So we want to reduce or eliminate emails, phone calls, and texts if they're going to one person. We have to make it to where everyone can see all client communications, all files, can have a record of texts sent if there were texts sent. Everything can be made available to the team, basically. And this is where you have to start thinking about, if you're going to expand your business and hire other people, these are the things you have to have in place in order to bring people in so they can have access to the things that they need, and so that your team can collaborate with each other, and so that you can collaborate with your client. What are the apps that you can use for team and client collaboration? You have a standalone apps like Microsoft Teams or Slack, where we can talk to the team, we can talk to the client. And then you have what I call all-in-one apps, just because they're more of a project or practice management solution, such as Keeper app, Lisio, or Carbon. And then I'm partial to Keeper. Here's an example from Keeper for client requests. You have a section for client questions, and you'll have an area for transaction questions and non-transaction questions. So we can ask the client about transactions that are in QuickBooks, and then we can just send additional requests to clients. For example, in our case, that we're asking them to upload an Afterpay statement, or to upload their Instagram and Facebook report for the last month. And so you're able to manage all of that communication. The whole team or whomever you choose in your team can see all of the client questions. They can see what's been asked. They can see the answers. You can monitor the questions that are still open. That if you haven't received a reply from your client yet, you can do all of that from within Keeper. And last, I'd like to talk about managing your work status and due dates, because once you have a lot of clients and a lot of due dates, it can get really overwhelming to track that. And again, especially when you're trying to go from just you and maybe like a bunch of stickies like I used to do, or an Excel spreadsheet, when you want to go from that to now having a team that can work alongside and be able to manage the work and see where they are, as well as where you are with your work. We have to be able to manage the status of all of our client work. The best way I have found to do that is, if you're familiar with Kanban boards or a status board, it's just basically setting up these buckets such as not started, waiting on client, in progress, in self-review, in manager review, notify client, and completed. So these are the buckets in which we will basically assign our clients to. So we may have, in this case, at client A and client B, we haven't started their work for whatever reason. Maybe we don't, for whatever reason, we didn't start yet. Next, we're waiting for the client. So we're getting ready to start, but we don't have everything we need from the client. And so now someone has to make sure we get that. We get what we need from the client. Then you have clients in progress. We have everything we need and we're working on them. Then we may have clients in self-review where the preparer or the bookkeeper has completed the bookkeeping, but now they're reviewing their own work and making sure that they did everything on their checklist that they needed to do. Then if you have a manager or if you have that manager review, then you may have clients in that bucket. Then after everything is done, we're going to let the client know that their work is completed. So we're going to put them under notify client. And after we have notified the client, then they go into completed, which means everything is done for the month. What are some suggested project management apps for you to be able to set this up and be able to manage your workflow? There are apps that are made specifically for accountants and bookkeepers, such as Keeper, which you can do that in Keeper, Jetpack Workflow, Listio, and Carbon. And then you have other apps that are made just generically for small businesses, such as Asana, Trello, and ClickUp. And we were using Asana until we started using Keeper. Here's an example from Keeper. Then where on the left, you see all of the clients, and you can see who the client, who the client was assigned to, who's the preparer, who's the reviewer, what's their status, whether it's not started, it's done, it's on hold, which period you're working on, the questions that you've asked the client and how many have been answered. And then on the right where you see all the red and green columns, those are all of the different phases of your bookkeeping workflow throughout the month. So I know that I have given you a lot of information. And as I said, my journey took me down this unexpected path and a lot of pain and suffering along the way, sometimes just trying to figure it all out on my own and feeling very lonely and doing that because there weren't very many people doing what I was doing, or I didn't have access to them because I didn't have the benefit of all the social media that we have now. And so my reminder to you, when you're looking out at all of this and saying, yes, this is amazing, this is what I want, and I want it right now, is that it takes time to do this. Your current reality is that you're probably doing everything yourself, or you may even have a contractor or employees, and you may still be doing everything yourself because you haven't figured out yet how to effectively pass this on to other people. And so you're going on a journey. You're going down this road, and your journey will take time. And you have to focus on building out your workflows and systematizing your business. But ultimately, you have to keep an eye on what your ideal business will look like in the end, in order to get to a point where you have a business that serves you and serves your lifestyle. And as I said, it takes time, and you have to put in the work to do that and be patient with yourself as well. I wanted to share some resources with you. We have a YouTube playlist called Successful Virtual Bookkeeping Business, and in which I share all of my videos on just giving you the benefit of my knowledge and experience in growing my own virtual bookkeeping business. We also have the free Virtual Bookkeepers Toolbox, in which you can get a lot of free forms and checklists. So sign up for that. That's free. And then if you're not signed up already, sign up to be notified about my latest content, webinars, and courses. And I believe Jesse's sharing all of those links with you. Now, I said that I went through this painful journey of my own, and I came to a place in my business of having a lot of access to bookkeepers and accountants through Facebook groups and form my own Facebook group. And there was a great need that I saw that many of you had, of just like, how do you do this? You might be feeling lonely as well. You may not be around people who are helping you to get set up for success. How do you do this on your own? And I saw a great need. And I also was hearing from clients that were coming to me that kept saying that their former bookkeeper messed up their books. And I just felt like there's a great need in our industry to empower virtual bookkeepers and accountants to have a great skill set, to systematize things, to do things in a way that they too can be confident professionals and confident business owners. So I put together the 5MB Academy, and 5MB is short for 5-minute bookkeeping. Not so creative, but that's the name, 5MB Academy. And in the 5MB Academy, there are several free courses that you will find, and feel free to visit 5MB Academy, take advantage of the free courses. And then there are also paid courses, and those are all listed here. I'm teaching Shopify bookkeeping, a cleanup and pay diagnostic bundle, a simple pricing system, a course on unlocking your financials so you can know how to read and analyze financial statements, and also the virtual bookkeeper's roadmap, in which I teach my virtual bookkeeping workflows and really take you through the entire process of setting up your own virtual bookkeeping workflows, selecting apps, putting together your onboarding process, putting together your monthly bookkeeping workflow, the monthly bookkeeping review checklist. It's a highly intensive course in which I share basically everything that I've learned in my business to systematize it and get it to the point where, as I said, now I have a business that serves me. So that is the virtual bookkeeper's roadmap. So if you're interested in that course, check it out. We always give you a 10% discount on any courses that whenever you're ready, you can get a discount. The discount code is 10 off. So Jesse, if you can share that with them in the chat, that would be great. So as I said, if you're interested, take a look at that course, but that is the course in which I teach everything that I've talked about in this webinar. And there is the discount code 10 off, all lowercase. And then you can find out about all of the courses at 5mbacademy.com. But I also have a new course coming, and I'm very excited about this course. It is a new marketing course specifically for bookkeepers and accountants, and it's launching on October the 17th, so just a little under 2 months away. And in this course, I'm teaching you my system for attracting quality clients who are convinced that you are the only one who can help them. And again, this is the culmination of many years of working on my own marketing when I knew nothing about marketing, and figuring out what works and what doesn't. And really the key to building a very solid foundation for putting together a marketing message that resonates with your ideal client. And as I said, who are convinced that you are the only one who can help them. In the course, I cover branding, how to identify who's an ideal client, finding a niche. We work on your messaging. What is it that you're supposed to say to attract that ideal client? We'll cover content marketing, and I'll even go over making YouTube videos. This course is not specific to making YouTube videos. So if you want to know about how to market your business, but you don't want to do videos, you don't have to. I cover many different ways in which you can do marketing. So in order to be notified about the course and get the latest news about it, as well as in order to get the best discount for the course before it goes live, then make sure that you sign up for the interest list so that we can keep you updated. And Jesse should be sharing that link with you. All right, we're going to go into Q&A. So let me take a little bit of water here. And so I have a little under 30 minutes, I think. I forget, 15 minutes. We'll see what I can answer in that time. So I'm going to switch over to my screen. And as I said, if you have a question, then put it in the Q&A, because that's where I'm looking, is in the Q&A tab. Stephen is asking if you have a flat monthly fee agreement and you are waiting for several months for the client to get you what you need, do you still charge the monthly fee while you are waiting? Yes, we do. We learned to do that because we used to not. The wording that you should have in your engagement letter, however, is that you need to say that your services are a subscription. So basically a use it or lose it subscription. So that way, as soon as the client signs that service agreement, you get them on that monthly payment. And if they don't provide what you need, then they're still paying. Laura is asking, does the client have to install Keeper app as well? No, they don't have to install it. They just have to sign up as a user on Keeper. Elizabeth is asking examples of other balance sheet accounts that you might reconcile. Okay, so if you're doing accrual accounting, it's usually prepaid assets, any prepaid accounts, fixed assets, depreciation, any accrued liabilities, payroll liabilities, and in some cases, even equity accounts might be accounts that you're reconciling each month. Again, that depends on the client. You don't do it for every client, and if you do, you certainly have to be charging accordingly. Diana is asking, does Gusto integrate with QuickBooks Online? Yes, it does. Belinda says, I was wondering if we should get certified in QuickBooks, Sage, and other similar programs, or if we should have a niche in just QuickBooks, which is her personal favorite. I'm biased. I'm going to say QuickBooks, but that I think if you're going to be the best at something, be the best in the one thing. And that's what I chose to become, was the best in QuickBooks Online. I wanted to be a nationally known QuickBooks Online expert, and I met that goal. And I did it because I focused on just QuickBooks and actually QuickBooks Online. How do you choose a niche? That is a very long answer, and I will be doing some webinars between now and the end of the year in which I will talk about marketing and I will talk about finding a niche. So I'm going to keep you wondering and guessing until I do my webinars. Jody says, I'm from the Caribbean. Do you have any tips for persons who want to start their bookkeeping business with U.S. clients? I think that overall, and I would say for anyone, when you're looking at starting a bookkeeping business or promoting a bookkeeping business, it's really about building relationships, and it's about providing value. And if you lead with that and being friendly, that if you lead with those things, people will be attracted to you because they'll know, like, and trust you. And it's really about those three things. They have to know you, they have to like you, and they have to trust you. I would encourage you, Jody, to join Facebook groups of other bookkeeping professionals. Join my group if you're not a member. Join other groups and interact. Make friends in those groups, and then see where that leads. You can get a lot of, well, I don't know about a lot of referrals, but you can get referrals from other bookkeeping professionals if you have a niche, because then they'll know to send you those kinds of clients. But I would say overall, what I see sometimes people from other countries, they focus too much on, I can give you cheap work, and ultimately that's not helping the know, like, and trust factor. And so if you focus on the things that will increase the three know, like, and trust, then you will build relationships and you will be able to find clients or people who will refer you clients. Diane is asking, what is the difference between A2X and Bookkeep? A2X is actually specific to accrual accounting businesses. So I can't really speak about Bookkeep. I don't use it very much. And so I'm sorry, I can't answer your question beyond that. Leanne says, hello, I was wondering if you could give some advice on finding clients. So again, I'm going to be doing a series between now September through the end. Well, maybe not September. I think we have a guest speaker in September, October through the end of the year on marketing. And so look for those webinars. Darlene is asking, what is the advantage of using Melio for accounts payable? So whether you're using Melio or bill.com, it not only helps to automate and streamline your accounts payable workflow, but it also adds a layer for your client to approve the bills or release the payments to vendors. So that relieves you from being the decision maker on which bills get paid and relieves you from touching your client's money essentially. So it protects you and the client. Tamika says, I have decided I want to work with service-based businesses. Do I need to niche down more? I would say yes. But you could start with service-based and then see where that leads. And again, I will be doing some webinars on marketing, and we'll talk more about niching. Darlene asks, how easy or hard is it for some clients to upload documents? Do they have to scan them into their computer and then upload them? It depends on the app, or even how you ask your client to do it. We use Cam Scanner, and Jesse, if you can put that in the chat, Cam Scanner. It's an app that you can take pictures with your phone and then convert that into a PDF file and then upload it. And so I think it's just a matter of for clients to give them something easy. I would not ask a client to use a scanner to scan documents because that's just too much work for them. And that's why we limit the number of documents or the types of documents that we're asking our clients to provide to us. Dominique says, I am in Canada. Just to clarify, in the US, the sales tax remittance does not use a sales tax paid credit, unlike Canada, where we claim the ITC or input tax credit to offset the sales tax collected. So that is one of the reasons why US bookkeepers don't need the source documents. You are correct, Dominique. We do not, we pay sales taxes, but beyond that, businesses don't have to claim those credits like you can in Canada. Jody says, in relation to onboarding, what if you negotiate with the client for a deposit payment? Can you proceed even if you have a deposit payment? So you're saying if the client pays some sort of payment, whatever payment that you want to get from that client is fine, as long as you should get some sort of payment up front. I'm not saying that they have to pay everything up front, but you should have some payment up front as well as a signed engagement letter, and then that's okay. Darlene says, how much selling is involved in promoting the apps? Who benefits the most from the apps, the client or the business owner? Okay, so when you're using apps, so first of all, if you don't use apps, what are you going to use? Because you cannot work with most clients virtually unless you have some of these apps. And so if that's the case, which I would say it is the case, then you have to focus on finding clients who are tech savvy, because they're not going to give you pushback on apps. And so we made the decision, we're working virtually with clients. The next decision is we now work with clients who are tech savvy, and you go from there. And so don't try to talk people into using apps if they don't want to, because then they're not an ideal client. But I would say for most clients now, if they're using QuickBooks Online, they want, you'd be surprised how many people, they want the technology, they want the apps, they want to feel like they're using the latest and greatest and that they've streamlined their systems. So it's really not, nowadays, it's not really selling the client on it, it's really helping them find the right app. Lisa says, Veronica, I noticed you use A2X. What about Dext Commerce? I'm not familiar with Dext Commerce. I believe I signed up for a demo and have not seen it yet. I would say the main thing that for e-commerce is that you do not want to bring detailed transactions into QuickBooks, because that's just going to clutter up the books. And so if Dex Commerce brings in summarized transactions, and you're able to reconcile them to the amounts that you're receiving from your payment processors. And hopefully it does that. And I would consider that to be a good app for e-commerce purposes. Flora says, hi, is there a course where you can see and learn from mistakes? I find that what if I do these situations? It would depend on if you're looking at, say, cleanup type courses. I do offer a cleanup course, and I take you through my cleanup process, and I teach you everything I've learned how to do a cleanup the right way. But I personally don't have any courses where, like, if you do it the wrong way, where I show things like that, and I'm not aware of any other course that does that. Clara says, do you have an option to pay the roadmap course in installments? Yes, and you'll see that on the sales page. You can pay it over 9 months, I believe. Karen, any suggestions for clients who are not very tech savvy? No, just they're not your ideal client. If you want to work virtually with clients, you pretty much have to work with tech savvy clients. And if they're not tech savvy, if they're willing to be, maybe, but we just have found, like, if they can't do a Zoom call, they're probably not tech savvy. Glenn is asking, is Keeper in the list of apps on QBO? I looked the other day and did not see it. Sorry, Jesse, you took away the question. I didn't get to read the rest of it, so I'm going to answer what I saw. Sorry. I don't know if Keeper's on the list of approved QuickBooks apps, but we have been basically testing and working. Tested it about 3 months and have been working on it, or with it rather, from the beginning of the year, and have not had any issues. Nancy says, I am not a CPA. Can I be as successful with only bookkeeping skills and experience? Yes. I mean, I am a CPA, but I don't use any of my CPA skills in our bookkeeping business. And so I think you can. I would say for anyone, though, if you're going to get into bookkeeping, that you have to commit to being a lifelong learner. So it's I think that's really the key to success. You can't just like get a bookkeeping certificate and get certified in QuickBooks and think I'm done learning. When you're a professional, which I always remind people, you are now in a profession, the bookkeeping profession, like same as the CPA profession, the accounting profession. That I think it dictates that you are now a lifelong learner, and you have to continue to increase your skills and to learn as much as you can over your entire life. Rebecca says, I think the rest of the sorry, it went away again. I don't know what's happening. Oh, it's because I'm probably in the wrong place. Okay. I see what happened. I was kind of at the bottom of the question list. Okay. Maria, sorry, I moved up now. Why does your organization not use the QBO resources for client management and docs? Just because it's limited. It has limitations as compared to some of the paid apps. Veronica says, what is your advice or your process in getting your potential clients to keep their initial appointments with you? So like a client reaches out, schedules a meeting, then cancels once the day of the meeting comes. Oh, I have had that problem from time to time. And so number one, if somebody's going to cancel a meeting with you, they don't respect your time and they're not an ideal client, and you should just be thankful that they canceled, because then you save yourself the time of dealing with someone who's not an ideal client. I would also, I would add wording in whatever emails and confirmations that they're getting, that you expect them to show up. So being a little bit firm about your wording for if you're not going to show up, then this, or if you can't make it, this is what you need to do. I have one friend who now charges $50 just for clients to talk to her. I haven't gotten to that point, but I think it's a matter of then looking at maybe you're attracting the wrong type of client or less than ideal clients. Veronica asks, what documents do you request in getting the client's vendors and customer names? Getting the client's vendors and customer names. I'm not sure in what context you're asking me that. If that's for onboarding purposes, probably a spreadsheet, but I'm not sure why I would be asking for that. So I'm going to say either it has to be in QuickBooks Online or the client would have to give me a spreadsheet or some sort of document with that information. I'm not going to answer the question about QB Connect now just because I want to focus on what I spoke about in this webinar, but I will see you, Veronica, at QB Connect. I will be there. Dominique, in Canada, we have many clients who pay and receive payments via Interact or e-transfer. We need the documentation for that as well. Yeah, so I know in Canada you need documentation for quite a few things and more than we need here in the U.S. Will I be able to, I think it's Xiao Yu asked, will you be able to share how much these apps will cost? No, you would have to look that up yourself. So if you look at the handout and the listing of the apps that I gave you, then you should look that up. For Diane, for new clients that are also new to QBO, how do you go back to put bank info in QuickBooks? Do you go to the beginning of the year? Yes. And in some cases, you have to download that information or export that information from their bank account in order to import it into QuickBooks. Veronica asked, have I heard of Financial Sense? I'm not familiar. I mean, I've heard of them, but I'm not familiar with what they do in comparison to Asana. Don Hawks asked, what option to connect authorized.net with QBO? I don't know, and don't work with authorized.net. Rosalia, do you have any information of how much to charge to clients? Yes, look for the free course on my academy on pricing, and there's also a paid course with the simple pricing system. And Rosalia asks, how do you ask for read-only access to the bank account? That's what we ask exactly for those words. We need read-only access to your bank account, and then the clients have to contact their bank to get that access for us. Natalia is asking, what do you use for password management with your team? We use, gosh, my brain just went, Jessie knows it. Jessie put it in the chat for me. Yeah, my brain just totally went blank on that one. Oh, yeah, Jessie's answering. Thank you. I use LastPass, but the team uses, and Jessie will tell you because I forgot. And Sheila says, the bulk of my clients are tax preparation and advisory services. Would you suggest trying Listio over Keeper? Since Keeper seems to be focused on bookkeeping. Yes, actually, I think Listio tends to lean more toward like CPAs, tax preparers, and so definitely take a look. And then, yeah, I would say probably Listio over Keeper for that particular purpose. Rebecca says, I'm curious about the answer to Glenn's question. Is Keeper in the list of apps on QBO? I looked the other day and did not see it, but that was weeks ago. How does Keeper merge into QBO if QBO is not endorsing it? Okay, so first of all, just because an app is not listed on the apps.com website, it doesn't mean that QBO does not endorse it. It just means that they haven't applied to be listed on that website, which is very different. So QuickBooks actually opened up their code, whatever the terminology is for that. They have opened up the connections, okay, the integrations between QuickBooks and any app that wants to connect with QuickBooks, and so they are things that they provide those developers in order to make those connections happen. But only a few of the apps actually are listed on apps.com, as opposed to the number of apps that have connections with QuickBooks. So the fact that they're not listed by Intuit on apps.com does not mean that they don't endorse it. It just means that that app developer hasn't done everything that Intuit asks of them to be listed on that directory. Okay, and I have about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to ask you to stop asking questions so I can finish. I'm also almost talked out. So I'm just going to answer the next 3 questions, and then I'll have to wrap it up. So I have a question from Tammy, Dominique, and Stephanie. So Tammy asked, do you require all of your clients to be on QBO and no desktop? Yes. All of our clients have to be on QBO. That's really the most effective way for us to work virtually with them. And okay, Stephanie, what's the next one? What is your go-to for PDF to Excel conversion? And okay, so you can use MoneyThumb is one that you can use. You can even find converters online if you look. But I would say MoneyThumb really is the best one. And then Dominique says, for Canadians, Pixie is a better fit than Listio for a tax practice management app. Some bookkeepers who love them and leave them for, I'm not sure what that says, catchip? Only use financial. Okay, sorry, I can't read the rest of it. But so based on what Dominique said, Pixie might be a good option for practice management for those of you who are in Canada. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. And thank you. Again, I love to spend this time with you. I love empowering you to become better bookkeepers and accounting professionals. I will see you next month. And take care. Have a great time. Bye.